Welcome to Payoff Pitch, Action Network's Major League Baseball betting podcast. I'm Mike Calabrese, joined today by Derek Carty of Roto Grinders for a quick look at Friday's slate here in the Bigs. We're also going to have Billy Ward coming in with his YRFI NRFI picks at the end of today's episode. But let's start with your best bets here, Derek. Hop right into it. Targeting a game between the Rays and the O's. And there's a whole bunch of value, at least in your opinion, on some home run props in this game on the Tampa side of things. Sagano is the main reason for this, I would imagine. He surrendered 7 dingers in his last 7 starts. And since the start of April, he has just as many multiple home run games in terms of allowing the long ball as he has had games in which he hasn't let a single ball leave the ballpark. Now, once the Rays get to the Baltimore pen as well, there's still reason for optimism because Baltimore relievers have allowed 41 home runs this year, which is one of the highest figures in the AL. Now, let's start here. The catcher for the Rays, Danny Jackson, he's only been hitting 204 this month, but he does have 4 home runs, 2 of which have come in his past 3 games, so he's hot in terms of his slugging. The 30-year-old is also on track to have his best power season of his young career. What do you think about him going yard at plus 850 in this game?
I like it a lot. I think it's probably one of the better bets you can make today. In general, my projection system, the BATX, tends to show a lot of value on this Baltimore park. I just don't think the books have it priced right. It's become an elite power park again after, it wasn't the last few years because they moved the fences back so much. Now they moved them back in a little bit, not all the way, but enough where we should have expected a jump, and we've seen actually an even bigger jump than expected. It's a big-time power park now. The weather there, the last week especially, has been really, really good. And like you said, Sagano is very exploitable here. So I like Jansen to go yard. I like the odds we're getting him at. I think we're getting some good value on this.
Well, let's just stick in this game then. Yandy Diaz over on 0.5 home runs to go yard here, plus 650. As always, shop around. You may even find a 7-1 out there in the market. He's also hit 4 home runs this month, the same as Jansen, but 2 came in the same game. So from a seeing the ball perspective, you can look at his numbers. He has been hot lately. He's improved his average from 266 at mid-month to 286 presently, but the home runs and power numbers haven't quite been there in the past week. But do you think he's due in this matchup?
I do, yeah. He's always a guy who has been, a really good hitter, good back control, but doesn't hit the ball like super hard and doesn't launch the ball enough. You look under the hood this year, though. He's got 12 home runs, which is 2 fewer than he had all of last year in double the plate appearances. His barrel rate is a career high. Still not launching the ball a lot, but he is hitting the ball harder than he's ever hit it before. He's getting the ball in the air enough for these home runs. And again, the park is a really nice one here. Certainly an upgrade for him from Tropicana and from Steinbrenner Field this year. So yeah, I like the number we're getting on Yandy here too.
Before we move on to your favorite underdog, one extra question about Sagano here being so susceptible to the long ball. Do you ever find yourself just peppering 4 or 5 players, to go yard in a single game by targeting a single pitcher? Or is that a little too much risk in terms of exposure? Clearly, if 4 or 5 of those guys go 0 for going deep, then all of a sudden you're looking at a really bad night. But obviously, the other side of it is if you can get some people in the 6 to 8-1 range, a single home run can kind of bring you to even, then everything after that is gravy.
Yeah, so it is a matter of personal risk tolerance. It's not like this is good or this is bad kind of thing. If every bet individually is a plus EV bet, then you can bet all of them because over time, you make enough plus EV bets, you're going to come out ahead. They're going to be correlated. So there is a chance that, you get none and you take a big loss because of it. But for me, I don't mind doing that. I'm not going to force it just to get extra guys from the game. But if I have 4 or 5 guys that are all showing value in the same spot, yeah, I'll take it and I'll ride out the variance wave because in the long run, I know it's going to work out. This was the case last week with when the Rangers were in town. I was betting lots of Rangers home runs, some Gary Sanchez home runs, some Orioles stuff. It was, I'll embrace that variance personally, but it is just a choice of how much correlation you want to take on, how much risk you want to take on in the short term.
As I mentioned, you have a favorite underdog here. You're going with the Colorado Rockies at plus 170 in Milwaukee. It seems as though the Rockies' mini revival is over after a 4-game winning streak. They've now gone 1-6 across their last 7. But that also means the return of some of these juicy money lines that are inching closer to those plus 200s that we saw when they were absolutely in a nosedive earlier in the season. Now, Jose Quintana is on the mound here for the Brewers with a sub-3 ERA. But when you look under the hood with him, there's one glaring issue that stands out, and that's with his command. He has 14 walks issued across his last 4 starts, and that could be a huge boost to a Rockies lineup that never gets walks. They have the fewest walks in the NL this season. The other side of this is, are we going to get Freeland? I know that he pitched in a bullpen session earlier in the week. The rumors are that he could be the starting pitcher here, has not yet been confirmed. If he doesn't start, is this a situation where you pull back your money, try to hedge a little bit, or is Freeland really not a big part of the equation in your opinion?
No, Freeland's a pretty big part. I want to see how the projections adjust if it's not him, but they've given every indication since last weekend that today's the day he's coming back. We haven't gotten confirmation on it yet, but that is my expectation. I do think Freeland, talent-wise, is one of the better pitchers on the Rockies. So if we wind up getting some, I don't know who it would be, even some scrub or like a bullpen game or something, I might not like it as much. Again, I'll see how the projection changes. I'll see kind of what the options are in terms of hedging or cashing out or whatever it may be. But I think we have a pretty decent shot of seeing Freeland here today. I think there's a pretty good case to be made that Freeland is a better pitcher than Jose Quintana. So I know the Rockies are cold. I know the Rockies are the Rockies, but the Rockies are not as bad as they've played this year. We saw it with their little hot streak. It's gone away, but this is still a team that is really bad, but not like all-time historically bad. And we're getting offered a good number here. We're getting 170, and the Bad X thinks this should be more like, what number do I have it at? I think it's like more like 135 or something like that. So we're getting some good value on this.
We turn to the rest of your card here. Cole Young to not strike out at plus 165. A lot of positivity about the M's young second baseman this year, but he's 5 for his last 22 at the dish, and that's across 7 games with 5 strikeouts. But nothing jumps out necessarily in terms of the pitching matchup that says he's absolutely going to strike out against Nathan Eovaldi, because even though he's approaching a career season here at mid-year, he's not necessarily one of those dominant power pitchers. Like, we can pretty much pencil him in for 6 or 7 Ks. With that being said, why do you like him at plus money to avoid the strikeout?
So there's a few reasons here. First, Eovaldi is coming back from injury, so we don't know how fresh he's going to be. Is there going to be some rust that he's going to have to shake off? Is his stuff going to be back to where it should be? The other thing is that even though Cole Young has struck out at a pretty good clip so far in the majors, 24% strikeout rate, it's only been 3 weeks, 3 weeks worth of games, 21 games, I think he's played so far. You look at what he's done in the minors, and it's more like 11%, 12%, 15%. So I expect some regression in his strikeout rate to begin with. And then the piece that I really like is the volume here. This is a guy who they have shown a willingness to pinch hit for. And so, especially against Eovaldi, who's coming back from the IL and won't be fully stretched out, might only go 75 pitches, there's a chance we see 2 at-bats here for Young, and then they pull him when the bullpen comes in. So that would really be the ideal scenario.
We'll close out your card with a home run prop at plus 675, targeting O'Neal Cruz from the Pittsburgh Pirates. It's easy to picture a home run when Cruz digs into the batter's box because he's 6'7", he's 240 pounds, but he has been mired in a slump for basically all of June. He has 3 extra base hits across 81 at-bats this month. But this was the same guy who slugged 449 last year and hit 21 home runs. I know you have patience when it comes to cold streaks, and you're really looking at it vis-a-vis their career numbers, their some of the under-the-hood stuff, the barrel rate, their exit velocity, and also price plays a huge part in this, with it being close to 7-1. Is there something else that jumped out to you that makes you feel that at this particular price point, you got to back Cruz to go yard?
I think it's mostly just that he has been cold and we're being offered a better price because of it, even though every study has shown, unless he's playing injured or something that we're not aware of, it's not really predictive. We should expect him to get back to form at any time now. and his form has been great. I mean, the BATX was a huge fan of him coming into the year, and he's, you look at the season numbers, not as much lately, but the season numbers, he's far exceeded expectations. His barrel rate is 22%. He's hit the hardest, I'm pretty sure it's still the hardest ball that anybody's hit in all of baseball this year. Like, he's a monster with power. And I think this is a pretty good spot. The weather looks really good here. It's 85 degrees in Pittsburgh. There's a little bit of wind blowing out, I believe. And yeah, I just think we're being offered too good of a price on a guy who has some of the best power in all of baseball in what is a pretty good matchup. Like, he's facing an average pitcher. So I'm on board for this one.
And the lefty element, that also plays in your favor, in your opinion, right?
Not in my favor necessarily, but I think it's another reason why we're getting the odds that we get. I think the books tend to penalize that a little bit too much, and we're offered more favorable odds in these situations sometimes.
We'll probably get 4 at-bats out of Cruz at least, so 4 different opportunities to go yard. But if you're looking for instant gratification gambling just in the first inning, we have you covered here. We're going to toss it over to Action Network's predictive analyst, Billy Ward, to talk some YRFI Nerfies for Friday's slate.
Thanks, Mike. Just 2 picks today, both of them YRFIs on this hot summer day. We've got good hitting weather throughout most of Major League Baseball today. The first is the Cardinals versus Guardians, which is the YRFI is as low as -104. This game has an 8.5 run total, but the total is pretty juiced to the over. I'm guessing that moves to 9 at some point today because the weather is boosting runs by about 10%, homers a little bit more than that, according to Weather Edge. If we get that bigger total, obviously the YRFI will come at a worse price as well. Most of the value here is on the Cardinals side, so you could take the Cardinals team YRFI specifically. They're top 10 offense against righties, and Luis L. Ortiz has first time through the order ERA and xFIP marks over 4.0. On the other side, the Guardians have to face Sonny Gray, which is obviously tougher both early in games and overall, but they do have Jose Ramirez and the aforementioned solid hitting weather. Again, could go with the team YRFI at +235. I like the game YRFI. I'm expecting it to move a little bit. Possible arbitrage opportunity before game time, but if not, my projections show a solid edge on the YRFI. And the other pick today, we've got Nationals versus the Angels, Jake Irvin versus Jose Soriano, another 8.5 run total. The Angels are implied for most of the runs here because they're facing Jake Irvin. He's a regression candidate in general with a 4.18 ERA, but his xERA and most of his underlying numbers are about 1 run higher than that, and he's struggled early in games. His first time through the order ERA on the wrong side of 5. So even though the Angels aren't a great lineup, we expect him to have a chance to get there. On the other side, Washington is facing Jake Irvin. Irvin really struggles against lefties. The Nationals lineup has 4 straight lefties, and 2 of them are very good. That would be C.J. Abrams and James Wood. That YRFI is -102. I'd take it down to about -115. Again, would not be shocked to see some line movement on that one, so get to it quick. Thanks, guys. Back to you.
That'll do it for today's episode of Payoff Pitch. Thanks for tuning in. If you'd like to tail some of the bets that you heard from Derek or Billy, look in today's episode for the quick slip link in the episode description. That'll allow you to populate the bet in your sportsbook of choice. Don't forget to download the free award-winning Action Network app and leave us a 5-star rating and review wherever you listen to the podcast. Also, check out the Action Network Discord. There's a link in the episode description of this podcast as well. We'll be back on Monday with another full slate of Payoff Pitch. That means Sean Zerillo and Grant Neefer giving us his home run props. And that episode is also live. You can follow it over on YouTube if you want to get the absolute best numbers as they come in those live episodes. So be sure to subscribe there. Drop us a like over at YouTube. For Derek Carty and Billy Ward, I'm Mike Calabrese. Thanks for listening to Payoff Pitch, Action Network's Major League Baseball betting podcast. And as always, best of luck with all your bets.